Hello everyone, it's me, FPL Guns, Ali Jahangirov and Gianni Buttici. Welcome to the FPL Winners Show. As every Sunday, we're here to talk about how our FPL game weeks go. So, how you been, Gianni?
Yeah, man, not too bad. Good to see everyone. Happy Sunday morning. And Ali, I've never heard you say my surname. So you absolutely smashed it there. Batici, thank you. So many get that wrong. So, yeah, mate, thanks for that. And hope this is going to be a good game week. I mean, it started probably quite well for many because I think Palmer was captained by the masses. I mean, Saka too, but both of them have, I think, around 120% EO. So fair play to all those that captain Palmer. You're very happy this morning, I'd have thought. And if you didn't captain Palmer, you're still probably looking at it going, Saka can match him. There are, of course, other options in play. Ali, I know you captained someone away from Palmer and Saka, and a fair few went to their Man City attackers and Liverpool attackers too. Tell us who you captained.
I went fully Maverick mode, so I'm on Martinelli at the moment because I don't have Saka in my team. And the fact that Palmer had it's an early game week game because this is a pretty weird game week that lasts for 10 days. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to bear with the captaincy pain for a good old week, and just wanted to captain someone from the next weekend. And I had a couple of options. So well, basically, I just wanted to support my team Arsenal, and it was between Martinelli and Darwin, but I wasn't sure about Darwin's minutes, and he's always getting hooked. So it was Martinelli, and hopefully we can get a. Last year around this time, he started his good run when everybody
Did he?
sold him, and yeah, and he just kicked on, and hopefully he gets in the same mood this year. So.
I didn't realize it was coincide nicely with the dates from last year. Let us know in the chat who you guys captained. I can see Heather went for Pascal Gross. That was someone I bought. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping Heather that Gross really puts in a big one for you because low ownership there. And Brighton are going to be a really interesting team to track this game week because I think many that sold Trent went to a Stupinan. Many that sold Son either went to Pascal Gross or considered Gross. Probably the majority went to Foden or Jota or Richarlison. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one. Ali, today we've got a couple of big games. But so many will be watching this on demand. So I feel like it's best for us to look back at the games from yesterday rather than preview too many that are ahead. So Everton Villa today, we're recording this Sunday morning, Man United and Spurs. And hello to everyone that's listening on the pod. But we can already review the three games so far. I don't think we need to talk a huge amount about Burnley Luton. Chelsea Fulham, there's talking points, and Newcastle Man City, that's where we're going to start. There's so many talking points. I think Newcastle Man City yesterday, Ali, was one of the, if not the game of the season so far. It was definitely up there. I think maybe, was it Chelsea Man City was probably slightly the game of the season so far, the draw. But this one was a cracker, wasn't it? Newcastle taking the lead, going into the last 20, when KDB's on the pitch, you just go, I think City are going to get something here. Did you get that feeling? Because I did. It was inevitable.
Yeah, from the last seasons, from seasons before, like when City is coming back in the game, it's usually when they control, when they don't give up many chances, and they do their usual crosses, and they apply pressure. So it was a difficult game to predict. Many of us, probably assumed that Newcastle defense has not been in good form lately, and so basically you had a sense that City will come back, and after KDB subbed in, I mean subbed on, it was just a matter of time,
Yeah.
and we didn't know in what shape he is at the moment because he just came back from the injury, and he was absolutely outstanding. We'll talk about KDB because he's in these times when our popular FPL assets are off for their international duties. I mean, there's a good lack of you know good lack of premium options in the midfield in the absence of Salah and Son. I think we have a lot of budget to spend on players like that, and KDB is just timed it really really well.
KDB this season, Ali, has played 22 minutes in game week 1 and 1 minutes in game week 21, right? And he's already had, so he's played 40 minutes of Premier League football this season, and he's already gone up in price. From the start of the season, he was 10.5 and he dropped all the way to 10.2 when he was injured. But since he's come back, he's already now 10.4. So already he's had two price changes, and since the 22 minutes yesterday, one off the back of yesterday's performance and one just before it, because we'd seen him in the FA Cup. This is a player, because the timing has been so perfect with Son and Salah leaving. Everyone's got midfielders to sell of a certain price point, and they're like, oh, do I just look at De Bruyne? So I completely get it, as well as the Man City double game week. So actually, his ownership is 12.8%. Like, already, De Bruyne is becoming a bandwagon. De Bruyne's not becoming template yet, but he's heading in that direction. Like, this is a guy that's been out for so long, where his ownership would have been, 1%, 2%, and already he's at 12.8. So I guess my question to you from the off, Ali, is do you think he starts versus Burnley? Because he said yesterday, I'm not ready to be playing, more than half an hour. But that 2 weeks' time, he should be, right? And it's Burnley, it's a nice fixture run, and then it's a double game week in 24. Someone you're going to look at, a likely buy, or unlikely?
Definitely, Kevin De Bruyne is one of my all-time favorite FPL players because of the ceiling he has, and he's always a differential. I mean, I didn't fully understand the love for KDB before this game week because
risky.
Yeah, he's always been a differential. Mostly because of his price tag, he's always been expensive, and I don't remember, apart from one season when he was absolutely smashing and he got the Player of the Year award, and that season he was fairly highly owned, but his direct opponents were just Salah, and a lot of people could easily fit in Salah and KDB together. But this season is completely different. This is really interesting because once Son, Salah, and Haaland and Trent come back into their good form and fitness, I think it will be really, really interesting because our budget will be well spread between those two, 4 or 5 players, and we can absolutely, there's no way we can fit all of them. So KDB is basically my next transfer, but the only question left for me is who to sell for him, because at the moment I have in my midfield Palmer, Garnacho, Foden, Martinelli, and Salah. So I have two options to sell. It's Martinelli and Salah. It's one of those two, but it basically depends on Haaland, comeback, and we don't know yet. But he seems to have a setback on his recovery, and he's not expected to start. Maybe in 2 weeks' time, things will be different, and we'll be talking about a different scale of. But double game week 25 for City is a interesting one. Basically, a lot of people will be tripling up on them. So.
Yeah, I look at De Bruyne, and you mentioned that season he had, 19-20 season, I think, was when he had that worldy season. He got 13 goals and 23 assists. Since then, he had a 6-goal, 12-assist season, a 15-goal, 8-assist season, and last time out, a 7-goal, 18 assists. So the numbers are always healthy with De Bruyne. He is a reliable, very reliable asset, especially when it comes to creativity and assists. If we're not buying Haaland in game week 22, because we don't think he's going to start versus Burnley, then maybe you buy De Bruyne instead, right? If you do think Haaland's starting versus Burnley, you're probably buying him, and that might block you from buying a De Bruyne, both finances and free transfers. So in 22, Man City do play Burnley at home, and that is a captainable fixture. Whether you're captaining Haaland or De Bruyne, or you're going Foden or Alvarez, you're gonna give the armband to a Man City player, I think, that week, most likely, right? In game week 23, it's away to Brentford. That's a tough one. So if Haaland isn't back for 22, maybe you can go without him in 23. 24, it's Everton at home. Good fixture, not amazing, but good. And then obviously 25 is the double, where we'll be looking at triple captains. And we probably need to see Haaland playing a set of 90 minutes before we want to give him the armband for triple captaincy, knowing Salah has 2 really good fixtures in 25 as well. So that's going to be a really interesting one for chip usage. But I do wonder if Haaland's had this delay. We all thought he'd probably feature versus Newcastle, didn't we? Like until Pep spoke pre-match the day before the game, we all thought Haaland would be in the squad because we had seen him training. Pulled out of training, recurrence of the same injury, not ready yet was the headline. So with that in mind, I'm like, against Burnley, his first game in what will be almost 2 months, I can't see him starting. I think if he's fit for Burnley, it'll be off the bench, just like we've seen Doku and De Bruyne. When you're out for a while, you don't go straight into the 11. So if he's not starting Burnley, we don't have to buy him for Burnley, which means we probably don't have to buy him for Brentford in 23. And actually, we're then not looking at Haaland transfers until maybe game week 24. The big thing is if you're not going Haaland, then does it make KDB far more likely to transfer in? And I think for me, it's a yes. And someone I might have to sell to get KDB in is Saka. And you mentioned Martinelli there. I think Saka, whilst I captained him this game week, Ali, he's on a bit of a last chance for me. If I don't see anything versus Crystal Palace off the back of their week in Dubai, their week in the sun, their week of rest, then I think he's a sell.
It's a good point. It's a fair point because Saka hasn't been really that impressive in recent months or two. Overall, Arsenal has been the same. It's been the same story for the whole team. They haven't been really the same as their performances weren't the same as last year. And there's a conversation to sell Saka, but at the moment with City, you don't know how team will react to their 2 weeks break. Brought most of them fly to hot places like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and they have a camp over there. Maybe it will affect, positively Arsenal, let's say. City the same. We don't know what kind of City we'll get once Haaland is back with KDB in the team, and it could be green fixtures for regardless of who they play. And Brentford away, I'm not exactly convinced it's a hard fixture, especially with the creativity of KDB. Even for 60 minutes, I think he can do the damage, and we've seen that in 22 minutes. Away trip at Newcastle is always tough, and I think if Haaland is fit, as you said, I don't think he's fit completely to play 90 minutes, so he's not likely to start. He's not an urgent buy at the moment, and all we could do is just wait and until he gets minutes, and the same with KDB, but I think he's got enough time. He's already fit to play. That's a good thing. So 2 weeks time with I think they will have maybe friendlies in training and stuff. He'll catch up with his fitness, and KDB is fine. He's a totally great buy at the moment, but in my case it will be in the expense of let's say Martinelli, but I won't have enough funds to get to Haaland without selling Salah. So I have to make a decision. So basically, it doesn't make any sense for me to, keep Salah if I will be selling him in a 2 weeks' time to get Haaland. So maybe it will be a straight swap from Salah to KDB, and then we'll see how I fit in Haaland. But it's not an urgent buy at the moment.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm glad I got the money out of Trent last week when I could, because I think we're going to hit game week 24, where we might be in a world where our 3 premium players, and we can fit 3 in, we probably can't fit 4 in, but game week 24 doubles. If Liverpool get the double 2, and they'll double if they get to the Carabao Cup final, because the game against Luton in 25 will likely drop in 24. Salah, Haaland, De Bruyne is very possible in 24, but if you have those 3, you very unlikely can't have a Saka or a Trent or probably even a Watkins. Like, that's the compromise. So you just have to judge that, weigh that up. Son too. I like it though. I like that trio, I must admit. And I do think with De Bruyne, I think it's being played down that he's not ready to start. He even came out and said, I'm not ready to start. It's like, I think for Burnley, you will be, mate, because you had half an hour or 20 minutes against Huddersfield in the FA Cup, which was the first week of January. Then you've played mid-January yesterday. By the end of the month, and we're talking I think City play on the 30th of Jan. By the end of the month, surely you're good for 60 at least. And he's also got the FA Cup, remember, as Freddie points out in the chat. Thanks, Freddie.
They're playing Spurs,
FA
right?
Cup. FA Cup, yeah. So, yeah, and Chai says it too. So, again, that really helps for for minutes and to see Haaland too. We're going to need to see Haaland. Doku's an interesting one. Let's talk about a couple of other Man City players. If you've got Foden, you're obviously sticking with him. And Foden still yesterday on the English TV, Ali, Sky, it was on TNT. Ali McCoyster, who was on Co-Coms, was asked, who's man of the match? Who's player of the match? And he said, I thought he was going to say De Bruyne. Personally, I would have said De Bruyne. I know he only played half an hour. I mean, what De Bruyne did in that game was special. Rodri too, though, clearly. And he said it's between Rodri and Foden for me. And yet again, we see a football match with Man City where Foden is in the conversation for player of the match by those that are there watching it, that are, know their stuff. Ali McCoyster really does. And he comes away with a blank. That can be the frustration with Foden. He's often the best player on the pitch, but not always rewarded with FPL points. But with his price point, that's fine. You can't expect double-digit returns every week. He's 8 million-ish, right? You're not spending 12 million on Foden. So keep with him. But one that caught my eye yesterday, more because of the minutes he got, was Doku. And Doku was due to come off on around the hour mark for De Bruyne. I think it was De Bruyne. And City Pep changed his mind. And he ended up bringing Bernardo Silva off instead. And Doku got an extra 10. So Doku ended up playing till around 75, 80 minutes when Bob came on and took his goal really well. But the fact that Doku, who's been out for so long, had one cameo versus Huddersfield, like De Bruyne, but then was good for 80, I'm like, you're starting versus Burnley. And I've got no doubt in my mind Doku's first choice on the left, especially against lower block teams. I think he's a really interesting differential, given the fact they've got Burnley and then a double game week a couple of weeks later. Yes, he's not going to start all 4, 5 of those games. He'll probably miss 1 or 2, but he'll feature in all of them. And we know from earlier this season, Doku is dangerous. And he's like 6.6 or something like that.
Yeah, he's in a good price range. And the thing with Doku, if you compare him to Foden, in the games where Foden blanks, he's still in and amongst the final 3. I mean, he's always assisting, he's always creating chances, he's always shooting. Even in the game against Newcastle, like, he was very brave to shoot outside the box all the time, and he's always creating. So if you compare Doku to Foden, I would rather go with Foden, because even when he blanks, he's still almost scoring. That's what you like to see about you. That's what makes a good FPL asset. I mean, even if he blanks, at least he's lively, at least he's creating chances, at least he's shooting, at least he's in shooting positions, he's always in the conversation for player of the match. The thing with Doku, he's always getting hooked most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think his ceiling, in one of the games he scored more than 20 points, but how often will that happen?
22,
against
Bournemouth.
You don't know with him. He's playing the same role as Jack Grealish, and Grealish has never been known, apart from his Aston Villa years, he's never been known for a high ceiling player. Like, it was a couple of weeks' time last year when he was very popular because of the injuries to other players, but that was because of the minutes, issue. He doesn't have a backup. He didn't have a backup, so he was certain to start, and it was in good form. But with Doku, he's a good differential, but I would rather compare him to Bernardo Silva. Who's in good form and scored yesterday as well. So if it's a conversation, whether it's Doku or someone else from City, so you have to compare him to Bernardo Silva, because Foden is a step ahead at the moment for me, and that's why in my transfer decision last week I wanted to get Foden, because I like what I see from him. Even when he doesn't score, he's not a sell. Like, he can always end up scoring a couple, maybe assisting a couple, so he's always dangerous, and that's what you like to see when you're picking your FPL assets.
Yeah, I like that. I like that review as well. When you compare Bernardo Silva and Doku, they are a similar price point, and with Bernardo, you're getting minutes. Doku, every team sheet you will be, won't he? And a question in the chat from Eddie, like, what about Grealish? And what I'd say this season is, what we've seen with Grealish is he hasn't necessarily been flavour of the month. He's been in and out, just like Doku. In the games where Pep wants control, and he speaks about control a lot, and Bernardo Silva on one side and Grealish the other offer him that complete control. And you often see them holding the ball, passing sideways or backwards, compared to, say, the direct running of, in years gone by, they've had a Sane, a Sterling. Now they've got a Doku that offers that. And Pep likes having that alternative plan against teams, especially teams that are never going to have the ball, and it's all Man City, and they just need to mix things up a little bit because they're parking the bus and they need runners. So in the tougher games, let's say Man City play Arsenal, do I think Doku starts if Grealish is looking good? Probably not. It would be a Grealish game. And yesterday, Doku did start against Newcastle. I think that was a lot to do with the fact I think Grealish had a few personal issues. I think his house was robbed a couple of days back. So he'd missed training and been ill as well. So when I look at the Man City fixtures the next 4 or 5, they feel like more Doku games because they are easier fixtures on paper and deeper blocks. So one to monitor there, but yeah, it's very punty, very punty. Let's just talk very quickly about Chelsea and then move on to a couple of our... Well, let's talk about your team quickly, Ali, and then we'll see my team and talk Chelsea because your team is on screen. So guys, do think about signing up to Fantasy Football Scout if you've never checked out the members area. And do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. Likes are really welcome this Sunday morning. So, Ali, your team, you've had some big green arrows recently. You've spoken about captaincy. Chai has asked you to give us a little bit of intel about Gabby Jesus and what your plans are there. Out of those 3 forwards, which one do you think will become Haaland? Watkins, Darwin, who has a double game week, or Jesus?
Initially, my plan was Jesus.
Was it?
Because at the moment, I think he's the only one I can afford for in order to get Haaland.
Right.
So basically, this week I transferred in Estupinian for Trent and Foden for, I believe it was Son that I sold. So the plan was to get Haaland if he was fit this week instead of Jesus, but Arsenal has a fairly decent fixture against Forest away. Yeah. And I want to watch Forest because they had a new managerial promotion. I mean, they got the new manager in Nuno Espirito Santos, and he's known for his defensive output back in Wolves days, even in Spurs when he had he started the season, they were keeping a lot of clean sheets. So I'm not sure. I want to monitor Forest a little bit before selling Jesus, but it was basically between Darwin and Jesus for me. At the moment, I think I can only afford, selling Jesus. And with Arsenal, I have tripled up on them, and I really want them to start getting into form because otherwise I'll have to, sell most of their assets, maybe keep Gabriel on my bench. But Jesus is an interesting one. He was flagged before this game week, but I've seen some of the training videos in Dubai for Arsenal, and they were a week ahead, and he was, fairly involved in drills, and he was basically in full training. So I didn't hesitate to keep him in my team. Otherwise, I would have sold him for João Pedro, taking another 4-point hit. So it just swayed me to keep Jesus. It's a good fixture at home against Palace. Let's wait a week and see how he performs.
It does feel like it was a week to take 4-point hits, but if you needed to and be aggressive. I know a lot were rolling transfers, and again, I'm fine with that, but I think a lot has been spoken about, we need more information. And we will, of course, get more information, and we all want more information. And ahead of Game Week 22, it will be great. We'll know more about AFCON. We'll know more about double game weeks. We'll know more about blank game weeks off the back of the FA Cup and percentage chances. I don't think that necessarily means you have to have 2 free transfers for that week, or there are points to be had every given game week. And by rolling this week, not that there was anything wrong with that. Like in an ideal world, I'd have rolled this game week. But I also look at those like you, Ali, that took hits, or those like me that used both their 2 frees this week to go, no, we're actually chasing points that are hopefully on offer in game week 21. And we both Brighton. You've bought in Estupinan. I've bought in Estupinan and Gross. Like we're hoping there are points on show this week, and we're not going to be complacent. And we're also getting on these players before they've gone up in price even more. Like Estupinan, if he goes and gets even 6 to 8 points, again, I'll be more jumping on him next week, a lot more. Pascal Gross, similar. So I don't mind that at all, being fairly aggressive as you've been of late. And again, you won FPL by being fairly aggressive. Not that you were taking hits every week when you won. You didn't need to because you're often above the curve. But you weren't scared about just going early on a transfer. Or you weren't scared about captaining a differential or just playing completely your own game. So guys, hope you appreciate Ali's gameplay as always. We'll have a quick look at my team. Ali, as you'll see, was a step ahead on Garnacho as well, which a lot bought in this week. So let's have a look at how I'm set up this game week. I did get Ali, because of people like you that were hitting, I think my arrow went from 65k to 60k because I didn't take a hit. So that was quite welcome. I started on a green arrow, which was nice. Not that it lasted for long because Cole Palmer, we need to speak about Chelsea, delivered, delivered as captain. And to be fair, looks like he had a pretty useful game. I wasn't able to watch the game. I was listening on the radio to the first half and or the first 20, 30 minutes. And it sounds like he could have had an assist early on. Obviously, the appeal of Palmer as well as penalties. But he did clock an expected assists of 0.68 yesterday. So his XGI was 1.53 when you include the 0.78 pen. He's just a phenomenal asset at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of clips from that game, and he's doing some tricks and creating chances. He's just an unbelievable player at that age, and he's in good form. I think he's just riding that wave of everything happens for him, and you can only wish all the good stuff for the young player, up and coming young British player that will definitely be one day playing for the national team. And Palmer is just joy to watch. Even though he plays for a rival team, it still doesn't stop me from enjoying his game. And he will only grow from there. And I think there's a lot of room to improve for Chelsea attack. And once all of the chances he creates get converted to goals, I think Palmer will be basically unsellable at this rate.
Yeah. In Gameweek 23, Ali, Arsenal and Liverpool play each other. So this is a game at the moment with captaincy. A game without Haaland, Son and Salah makes captaincy a really interesting conversation every single week. In Gameweek 23, with Arsenal and Liverpool playing each other, I don't think anyone's going to want to captain their Jotas, Darwins or Sakas and Martinellis. Man City go to Brentford. So, I mean, you said earlier you don't think it's a tough fixture, but going to Brentford's never easy. So you might be a little bit cautious about captaining a Man City player, knowing they're away. At home to Brentford, sure, you'd do it. But Chelsea have Wolves at home. I think Palmer might be the go-to captain again, especially if he delivers in Game Week 22 as well, which is against Liverpool, by the way. That'll be interesting. Game Week 23, if we go back to Palmer for the armband. I mean, I've not captained him this season yet. I regret in a way not captaining him yesterday. Like, I'd take those 10 points for Saka now, who I captained. But what do you reckon? Like, he's a legit captaincy option now because his consistency is unreal.
Yeah, he's been delivering points on good, consistent basis, and I think he will be in the conversation for sure. I'm just looking at some other differential options, maybe Newcastle at home for the Gordon owners or Isak owners. I think they're playing Luton at home, and it's a good fixture for Newcastle. First of all, Brighton is playing Crystal Palace, which is a derby, and it's always fun. Sometimes there's not a lot of goals in that game, but if João Pedro still keeps up his form, I think he's a good differential captaincy option. United playing West Ham and City playing against Brentford away.
Yeah,
this is the most valid argument for the captaincy, because if you want to go differential, maybe that's the week. And Palmer, I don't think he'll be differential though. Like in a week like this, he's still like over in and around like 120% EO, which is quite significant for a player. So basically, I like the captaincy shout for Palmer in that game. I'd like to think of other assets as well.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Looking at the bonus points from yesterday in the Chelsea game, Palmer got 3, as you'd expect. Petrovic, who only made 4 saves, is still useful, but 3 for Petrovic as well. And again, his distribution is quite good. And for goalkeepers, we know in the BPS, pass completion is important. Petrovic is, by the way, a very interesting option. I do wonder if Sanchez comes back in. Since Petrovic has been in goal, I think Chelsea have looked a little bit steadier at the back. And we've seen a fair few clean sheets by Petrovic. So one there to consider maybe it's not till whenever we wildcard, but worth noting Petrovic is a 4.5 at the moment starter. Levi Colwill, he was on for 3 bonus. When I checked at about 5 p.m, when I was playing football yesterday and I got to the bar, checked the sort of bonus points as you do. The game was obviously an early game, so you expected it to be locked in by 5 p.m. But for the Chelsea game, the early kickoff, Colwell's gone down to 24 in the BPS, so he picks up 1 bonus. So people like FPL Chai in the chat who had Colwill and thought they got 3 bonus off him. I mean, you're taking the 7 points and you're very happy. But you would have preferred the 9, Chai. Did that affect your rank, Chai? I know you're world number 5 at the moment. Was that with Colwell's 9 or Colwell's 7? Can't believe you've been robbed with Colwell. So where are you in the world now, Chai? Did that affect you? But a nice differential there. Chelsea defense isn't the best, but they're cheap. So if you're on a Gusto or a Colwell, I had Colwell, I think, for the first 10 game weeks, and he did really well for me, actually. So I'll take that. We've talked about Chelsea and Man City. I don't think Burnley and Luton need too much conversation, Ali. Let's just talk very quickly about what we're thinking we might do with chips. And guys, if you're enjoying the show, thumbs up would be appreciated. Ali, game week 24 feels like a gimme for triple captaincy, doesn't it? If Liverpool double and with the City double, we've got Haaland and Salah as 2 triple captain options. And later in the season will be bigger doubles where we might want to use other chips.
Yeah, it's interesting because it all depends on Haaland, injury update. We'll know more about Liverpool doubles, I think, before game week 22 for certain. But if those 2 teams double and Salah comes back by that time, I think there's a conversation between those 2. Yeah. But triple captaincy, this chip is, I don't expect much from that chip, but I'd like to go in a different game week rather than, the whole FPL Twitter goes to triple captain, because last year I went for, I think it was Rashford in a double game week, but a lot of people were just waiting for Haaland to triple captain, and I remember the benefits of going different on triple captaincy, and I don't want to rush into things because I'm too far behind, and I want to seek a better opportunity maybe for a differential captaincy. But for the rest who are basically looking to defend their rank, I think Salah will be very popular if he comes back by that time, and if Liverpool doubled in 24. The thing with City, in their midfield, even if you get KDB and Foden, you're not sure where the points come from. When Haaland is there, he's just hugging all the points, and when he's not, it's different. It's really difficult to predict who will get the most points, and sometimes when picking our captains, that's the most reliable feature that we're looking for FPL captaincy. That he's a talismanic player. All of the chances go to him, and he's most likely to score in that game. Salah is that player.
Yeah, he is.
In City team, it's when Haaland is up and running, he's in good form. Yeah, Haaland is the guy. When he's absent, you never know. Like Foden could score, Bernardo Silva could score, KDB could
big spread
smash a goal and assist in 22 minutes, and it's hard to predict. And maybe for me, KDB will be a good differential in that option in that game week.
Don't mind that at all. Liverpool might have the slightly better fixtures, and it is game week 25. I think I kept saying 24. Apologies for that. Okay. 25, City's double confirmed is the Saturday late game against Chelsea, but Man City are at home, and then Man City again home to Brentford on the Tuesday night. So the turnaround there, Saturday, Tuesday, isn't too bad given the fact they're both 2 home games. I think the Liverpool double game week in 25 would likely be Brentford away, and then it'd be Luton at home. So Brentford's double would be Liverpool, Man City. Tough.
A lot of people will be looking for the third Man City option, and I think
triple attack, mate.
Yeah,
triple attack for me. It'll be Foden, Haaland, and then Doku or KDB, I reckon. But Walker's obviously an option, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm in there with you, but their goalkeeper.
Ortega,
Ortega is 3.8 at the moment, and we don't know yet what's the injury update on. The number 1,
Ederson,
Ederson he's got a nasty injury, but you wonder how many weeks he will miss. Maybe he's still not fit for a double game week, and Ortega is a nice 1 week punt for those. Maybe there will be players who, FPL managers who will be maybe activating their free hit chip.
Yeah.
We just sold Salah, and in that particular game week, he's coming back. People are going without Haaland, Salah, players like this at the moment, and maybe in that game week, it's a valid chip to use.
Yeah, yeah, quite possibly, mate. I don't hate that either. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Ali and I have had a really good debrief there. There's only been 3 games. We've only really spoken about 2. But because the conversation is so broad with FPL at the moment, with doubles, blanks, chip usage, hopefully you've really enjoyed it. So if you have, do let us know. Guys, thank you for watching. Fantasy Football Scout has got tons of material planned still in the next week. So make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled. Ali and I will be back next weekend where we'll be, of course, reviewing the game week, but also looking forward to game week 22, which I think the game week finishes on a Monday. And then the next game week deadline, I think, is Tuesday. It's a really tight turnaround. So we'll be reviewing on Sunday all, I think, 9 of the 10 games. I think Brighton play the Monday night. But for now, guys, thank you for watching. He's been Ali, I've been Gianni, and we've been Fantasy Football Scout.